Hello and welcome back to Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York. We had an eventful first night. We probably got embraced by an unknown vampire and then got picked up by a stranger who led us here. What this all means, we are not quite sure, so let's find out and see what's behind that metal door. Here we are. There are your belongings for tonight. If you get hungry, again, take a look in the fridge. Tomorrow, I will come pick you up. The cramped room has no windows, just a simple bed, a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling, a small humming fridge, and a rattling AC fan in the wall. I also adjusted the size of the text so I don't have to do the scrolling. I think that will help a little bit with the fluidity of the text. It has all the coziness of a solitary prison cell. You notice claw marks on the inner side of the entrance door. I need medical help. I can't feel myself breathing. I can't sense my heartbeat. I need to go to a hospital, man. You're gonna be fine. Listen, normally I'd lose my nerve right about now and things would get nasty. But I get it. You're scared. You don't understand what happened. Trust me, you will learn more tomorrow, but now I need you to rest. And you need you to rest. He gestures inside the room. Finding no more willpower to resist, you step inside. The stranger nods contentedly. Good night. He locks the door behind you. It looks very secure and sturdy. You open the fridge. There's a single plastic bag there filled with red liquid, unlabeled. Tomato soup? You feel sick to your stomach. Best leave it for now. You lie down on the bed. It's a simple mattress on a metal frame, kind of grimy and damp. Seeing it makes you grimace, but you're just too tired not to lie down. Your entire body hurts, a dull feeling that makes you feel heavy. You feel vulnerable and lonely. Usually when that happened, you turn your attention to painting just to not think about the alternative. Your family upbringing left you with no skills but artistic talent. Creating art used to be something of an unpleasant duty. Somewhere along the line, though, it became the only weapon you had to fight with existential despair. Some of your best work was created in lieu of impotently crying in bed. Hell, you're pretty sure a few of those pieces had your tears mixed in with the paint, like the painting that led your whole night to this. You look back at your life and it starts looking like a downward spiral. You're too tired. Your entire body tenses up, and before you know it, you drift away into oblivion. You wake up. That in itself is a surprise. You barely remember when you drifted off. It didn't feel quite like sleep, more like plummeting into an endless void. You imagine that's how death feels like. The room is unchanged. The lamp is still on, the AC is still rattling, the refrigerator is still humming. Take a look at your watch. It's almost 9 p.m. You've slept for 17 hours straight. Maybe you died. Your breath is gone and you feel no thumping in your chest. Does that qualify as dead if you're still conscious? You're not sure about that, but you are certain about one thing. You're hungry. It's not your stomach rumbling, though. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and back of the head. You open the fridge. The bag is still there. You take a closer look at it. If it's soup, then its color and texture are off. Pull the cork out, take a whiff. You recognize the smell immediately. Holy shit. There's no mistaking it. It's bag blood. The smell is faint, and you remember some situations in the past where you found it nauseating, but now it's almost... No, not almost. It is enticing. Do it. feels wrong, but right now there's barely anything in your life that doesn't. To hell with it. You pour a bit of the liquid into your mouth. It tastes bland, reminds you of cheap supermarket juice. Just enough flavor to register as what it claims to be on the box, but nothing like the real thing. Nothing like what you had last time. You swallow it. Somehow you don't feel sick. In a weird, messed up way, you can't help but think it feels nourishing. Take a few more sips, then just another one. Suck on the back a little more. Eventually you find that you've emptied it entirely, all. Look at the info pressed into the side of the bag. 450 milliliter of it. Even with its blandness, you still feel like having more. You realize your body longs for that intoxicating high you feel when an image of that corpse crossed your mind, causing you to wince. What have you become? You try to piece your thoughts together, make sense of it, when you hear the lock click and the door open. Standing there is the well-dressed stranger you met yesterday. Immaculate suit again, the predatory look like a hawk on a hunt. But somehow more relaxed tonight. So, like a tamed hawk, maybe. Good evening. Slept well? He notices the discarded emptied bag. I see you had a bit of a snack. Was that really blood? Was that really... Type RH0 positive. Not that easy to get. Glad you liked it. Come on, we've got places to be. The car is humming in the empty parking lot just outside the door of the cramped room you've spent the day in. The man motions to it politely, but with a stern look on his face. Nah, I don't think we should mess with him. Okay, lead the way. After you. You take the back seat again, the door lock. The stranger takes the wheel and starts the car. You drive in silence for a while. From time to time you keep trying to catch a glimpse of familiar streets or landmarks through the blackened window, but it's of little use. The car is also soundproofed, so all you can hear is a bit of traffic humming and the car's engine. The driver doesn't say anything and seems focused on the road. You check the door handle. Yeah, the door is locked all right. The piece of dark glass separating you and the front of the car looks sturdy too. There's nothing left to do but wait. Didn't have time to think about it before, but you realize now that you are hungry? No, not exactly. It's not a rumbling stomach that grabs your attention. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and the back of your head. You try to extract some information out of the man behind the wheel, but you realize you prefer to bask in the afterglow of your last meal. You wouldn't have expected it, but you spent the rest of the trip lost in thoughts. A lot of them concern blood. Takes you another 20 or so minutes to get to your destination. As the door opens, you try to get your bearings. You're still in New York, that much is certain. Queens, maybe. Wait, you know exactly where you are. The nice-looking two-story building has a logo you immediately recognize. The Art Hole, an avant-garde gallery, used to hold that collection of back viscera and body parts by... you can't quite remember the guy's name. He's Brazilian, you think. Fabio something or other? After me. No sudden movements, please. Never been inside, not quite your style, but the place has quite the cult following. You keep racking your brain for more facts, hoping they'll help you with whatever you got into. Two large men in suits flank the door to the gallery on both sides, and they give you your companion a nod as you approach. Prompted by the stranger who guides you, you walk inside. The gallery is full, which is unusual at this hour, to say the least. About 24 faces fill the showroom, and a number of waiters navigate the gathering, serving drinks. All of them are beneath the guests' attention. The visitors are well dressed for the most part, but it's unclear what they have gathered here for. Nobody seems to be particularly interested in the art pieces on the walls, and the atmosphere is polite, unnaturally so. Many guests turn to look at you and the stranger who brought you here. Their glances are varied. You see open contempt on a few faces and animated interest on others. Most of the eyes in the room calmly observe you as if wishing to appraise your worth. Memories come back to you like a bad case of PTSD. How many times before had someone judged you impassively or decisively through your art? You share a piece of yourself with the world, and it responds by making you feel like garbage. Always took a lot of effort to not lose your cool and tell all of them to shove their opinions up their collective asses. Now look around. It feels like you've become another artwork as commodity to be judged by a bunch of obscenely wealthy, out-of-touch assholes. Makes you want to scream. Good evening, Quadir. And to you, child. The noble, cold voice takes you out of your head and back to the situation at hand. The gallery, a crowd of strangers. You being brought here against your will. For what purpose? The room awaits your response. Good evening, miss? Good evening, miss. You are addressing the Prince of New York City, Helene Panhard, child of Michaela. Thank you, my sheriff, but I am capable of introducing myself. She is somewhat plain-looking and doesn't seem to possess a great deal of charm, but still the entire room is intently focused on her voice. She has influence over these people, that much is clear. You may address me as Prince, child. I realize your introduction into unlife was abrupt, and I understand your sire left shortly after. The rules of our society dictate I punish you both for this transgression. A murmur of agreement, maybe, can be heard from the gathered audience. But I am willing to listen to what our loyal sheriff has to say about the circumstances of your embrace first. My sire? Wait, my sire? You mean the man I met at the gallery? That's one of the things we're here to ascertain. You are about to be judged by the Court of New York City. Quadir, please tell us how you found this fledgling and what happened on your way here. Court, Prince, is this some kind of secret society make-believe? Trusted informant who has chosen to remain anonymous at this time tipped me off about a suspicious kindred appearing in one of our domains. Upon investigating, I found them gone, but this fledgling remained in their place. Interestingly, his sire made use of an older haven of one of the Clan of the Rose for the embrace. They were even thoughtful enough to leave a local woman for the fledgling to slake his thirst on. Despite some reservations, he offered little resistance last night and cooperated on our way to the safe house. I was pleased to not have to force his compliance. With a quick chat, but wishing to appear here post-haste, I urged him to join me, which he did without struggle. A pleasant departure from my usual routine, I must say. His thirst partially slaked with the bag of blood we kept in the safe house, we had a pleasant enough drive here. The story ends with us arriving at Elysium tonight. All eyes are on you again. You take a special interest in one of the faces. It's a beautiful woman with curly, almost blonde red hair and a dress to match. You see her whispering to some bespectacled man with an absent-minded look on his face. Who is she, you wonder? Thank you, Quadir. I take note of this fledgling's behavior and will take it into consideration later. She turns her attention to you. First, there is the matter of your sire. the person who brought you where Quadir picked you up from last night. Who were they? Sire? Let me ask you this first. Why do you keep using the word? Sire, what does it mean? Under regular circumstances, they would be your patron and the one responsible for your introduction into our society. Things being what they are, however, I would very much like to know who they are. Indulge me. I find it impossible to decline her final request. Something in her voice makes you want to please her, and you hear yourself speak. He was beautiful, charismatic, charming. Dark hair, a sort of artistic mess. An accent I couldn't recognize. He took notice of my art. Bought a piece, in fact. I want to meet him again. You stop yourself from saying more, then realize there's really not much more to talk about. A nagging thought enters your mind. How did this prince persuade you with such ease? Well, Quadir, does that sound familiar? No, it does not. At least not familiar enough. I will continue the search after we're done here. What happens now? Well, that's as much as you're getting out of me. What now? No. Now it's time to decide your fate, fledgling. What shall I do with the fledgling, my prince? What is your recommendation, my sheriff? The traditions are clear. Thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. If thou createst another without thine elder's leave, both thou and thy progeny shall be slain. I'm ready to fulfill my duty. Stay your hand for just a moment longer, Quadir. I wish to consult my council on this. Make sure everyone is in agreement. Of course. He seems strangely relieved. The prince leaves the main showroom and about 6 people follow her out. You're about to ask this Quadir what all that talk about tradition and councils was when the red-headed woman approaches the two of you. Sophie? Sheriff, I was wondering if I could have a word with the fledgling. What for? She lowers her voice in response. Come now, Quadir. You all know what the verdict is going to be. Let me speak to them. You might not have to stain your hands tonight after all. Her words grab his attention. His face is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for domination. Anger, sadness, hope, gratitude, resolve. I'll go get my sword. Steps out of the room the way you came. You are left in the showroom with the woman in the red dress. She takes you aside, and the eyes of the remaining guests follow you. Well then, fledgling, you are in quite the pickle. What do you mean? What do you mean? I still don't understand what my crime is here. Poor thing. This really isn't your fault, but if you want to get out of here in one piece, you need to understand one crucial fact that seems to have eluded your grasp. Last night, you became a vampire. Wait, what? Oh yes, I'm well aware of how ridiculous that sounds. It's the reason why we have these nicer words for it. Kindred. Being embraced. Having a sire. The fact remains. The beings called vampires, you're looking at them. They're us. You glance around. Some of the guests are still occasionally looking at you, commenting on you in hushed tones. Many of the patrons are pale. Really pale. Most hold glasses of wine. No, not wine. That's not the right thickness. Not the right color either. You're trying to come up with something sensible to say, but you're drawing a blank. Makes a morbid kind of sense. You drank blood last night, there's no denying, and your breathing has not returned. Your heart still remains still. A vampire. 2 voices in your head start battling for supremacy. One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened since yesterday together, coming to a conclusion that no matter how insane it might seem, nothing but what she's saying makes sense. The other voice just keeps saying, What the fuck? What the fuck? On repeat. You're surprised. This is often how it plays out by design. Quadir deliberately keeping you in the dark and all. If we do nothing, you will be cut down as sure as day follows night. But I'm here to offer you a chance, a way out, under one condition. I will take you under my wing. If you're lucky, the prince will be in a good mood tonight, and your deference to Quadir will work in your favor. She might agree to this, but only if you swear fealty to me. I am not making this offer lightly. As your patron, I will take responsibility for you. Your actions will reflect on me. If they reflect negatively, well, I will make sure you face the consequences. What happens if I agree? Suppose I say yes, what happens then? You survive, hopefully. Or not, depending on the prince's whim. I'm giving you a chance, not a guarantee. But if you take me as your patron, I will be your guide in this new reality. And you will assist me, like a child will with a sire. Steps and hushed voices can be heard from the side room. It seems the prince and her council are returning to the showroom. Quadir appears from downstairs as well and starts walking towards you. When you hear the verdict, ask to be spared. I will intervene. Remember my condition. She flashes a heart-melting smile toward Quadir, who does not smile back. The sheriff's immaculate suit is now complemented by a curved oriental-looking metal scabbard fastened with a colorful sash around his waist. It would look vaguely ridiculous if it wasn't surprisingly intimidating first and foremost. Quadir takes his place next to you and observes as the prince takes center stage again. Loyal kindred of the New York City Camarilla, gathering here tonight, I have made my decision regarding this fledgling. She briefly addresses you. I want you to know that this was not an easy decision to make. For your part, you have not done anything to earn our ire. I do feel a genuine sorrow for what must be done. We are all keenly aware that these nights we need to close our ranks and trust the wisdom of our elders and their traditions more than ever before. There is no place for tolerating dissent when our very existence is under constant threat, although I acknowledge some of my council's divergent opinions on this. She takes a look specifically at one of the people who left the room before, a rather plainly dressed, shy-looking man whose skin has a somewhat healthier tone. He bows his head in deference. I hold the final authority over this fledgling's fate, and I declare that while their embrace might be the sire's responsibility, in their absence it is their progeny that must be punished. The sentence is final death, to be resolved presently. Quadir. You hear a scraping sound and see that the sheriff has unsheathed his curved sword. It is a beautifully detailed blade, which you expect must be worth a small fortune. Its apparent sharpness makes you freeze up. 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. His quiet mumble is audible to nobody but you as his eyes meet yours. You note just a hint of sadness in his countenance, one that quickly vanishes to give you to grim determination. And he's out to bet. Will not get another chance to speak up. Ask for mercy. You make your choice. I don't want to die. Spare me, please. Prince, if I may ask you to stay the sheriff's hand for a while longer. Quadir looks at the prince, awaiting her response. The sword is still hanging above you, threatening to fall at the moment's notice. Is there something you'd like to say, Miss Langley? Yes, if I may. At first the prince looks somewhat annoyed at the distraction, but she stays quiet for a while, measuring the mood in the room. The board elites suddenly look at you with aroused interest, some of them dismayed at not seeing the bloodshed, but all intrigued by the unexpected twist. The prince nods. Well, let's hear it. Sophie takes a few steps forward. All eyes are on her now, but Kadir's heavy hand on your shoulder makes it clear you won't take advantage of the distraction. My prince, while the traditions are clear, I believe that the proper context should be observed in addition to the letter of our laws. This fledgling is a burden, but with proper guidance they could become an asset to our domain. Am I to understand you are volunteering to take this sireless child under your protection? Yes, I happen to think they might hold a potential that would be unfortunate to waste. I do expect their full cooperation, of course. Whispers can be heard again, an incredulous voice or two. A hushed, just behead the fucker. Some suppressed exclamation of surprise. Silence! I ask all of you to make a note of this moment. I might be persuaded to bend one tradition in this child's favor, but another will have to be enforced even more firmly in its stead. Until the progeny shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. Are you certain that's a responsibility you wish to shoulder, Miss Langley? I am willing to guide this fledgling and add a valuable ally to our sect in a time of need, yes. But I would like to receive the right of destruction over them, if it pleases you. I think we're just staying silent here. We are way in over our heads. It's clear tension are high. It feels surreal to listen to strangers discussing your death, or second death apparently, and keeping silent. You decide it's for the best to let Sophie handle this alone and not interject. You have no idea how to handle this eyes wide shut crowd. Yeah, and she clearly has a plan, which we can't fully trust either, but at least it keeps us alive, or unalive. The prince looks at you as if weighing your worth. She takes another good measure of the room before she speaks again. I shall grant you ask. Let it be known, Sophie Langley of the Clan of the Rose will become this fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and child. Miss Langley will take full responsibility for them, and I grant her the right of destruction if she sees it fit to use. Let my intentions be clear, however. If I am to turn a blind eye to one of our most important traditions on this occasion, I expect it to be beneficial to the Camarilla. Substantially so. I hope you find this verdict satisfactory, Miss Langley. Of course, Prince. Thank you. Very well. She turns to you. What is your name, child? Lamar. Prince. She nods. Welcome to the Camarilla, Lamar. Now, this evening proved to be even more eventful than I anticipated, but this fledgling's fate decided, I believe our meeting here can conclude. Thank you all for appearing on such a short notice. Give my regards to those who couldn't make it. Kadir, a moment of your time before I let you return to your duties. Of course, Prince. He shoots you a side glance that doesn't leave much space for interpretation. You will be watched. You will be judged. And if need be, you will be punished. The two of them leave the gallery. Well, Lamar, I think we've both already managed to significantly improve each other's evening. But let's keep the ball rolling, shall we? I think we should have a toast to a new, fruitful partnership. She raises her hand at one of the well-dressed concierge, who have now reappeared in the showroom to refill the guest glasses. The conventionally handsome man approaches with a carafe of red liquid. He pours it into two tall glasses. It's blood again, that much is clear. You're in two minds about drinking it, but the memory of last night's hunger makes you wince. You take a tentative sip. You expected the same blandness you tasted a few hours ago, but this one you can actually savor. It's smoky and warm, making you think of a cozy cabin in the woods. It does strike you as a strange image for your mind to jump to when drinking human blood, but it is what it is. You've never tasted anything like it. Do you like it? I think New York City caterers have very bourgeois ideas about what good blood tastes like. Apologies. You must have so many questions. While we're on the topic, perhaps we should start with those related to sustenance. Now, before I asked the question, we saw that there were some updates in the dictionary. So let's go through these very quickly, and then we continue. The sheriff. The sheriff ensures that the traditions and the decrees of the prince are obeyed, hunts down violators and delivers just punishment. In the case of minor violations or known enemies of the Camarilla, the sheriff is usually authorized to act as both judge and jailer executioner, but when it comes to greater offenses, they will deliver the accused to the court to be judged. So that is what happened. The Camarilla. A major sect of vampires devoted primarily to maintaining the Masquerade through influence and manipulation of mortal society. Fledgling, a newly created vampire still under their sire's protection. Prince, a vampire who has claimed a given expanse of domain as their own, generally a city, and supports that claim against all others. The term can refer to a kindred of either sex. The hunger. The urge to feed. For vampires, the hunger replaces all other drives with its own powerful call. Okay. How much do I have to drink? I feel this hunger constantly. How much do I have to drink to make it go away? The sad reality is, it will never go away. No matter how much you drink, you will always be tempted to have more. Unless you consume someone wholly to the last drop, paying for temporary relief with their life. But that is a one-way road for losing your humanity. Best start by just taking a single sip from a vessel. Be prudent. Hot, fresh blood will be more satiating than most anything they serve in a fancy glass, but it can make you more voracious. As to how much you should have, it depends. If you're frugal, you can survive many nights without a single drink, but it's risky and will tempt the beast that is part of our curse. Tomorrow I shall take you hunting and we will explore this topic further. The blood you're having tonight should be enough to keep you happy for now. You mentioned a beast. That beast you mentioned, is that a metaphor or... Oh, it's quite real. Although not in a strictly physical sense. It lives in all of us, our nature and hunger manifest. Those more religious among us connect it to the biblical Cain, the rage of the first murderer, cursed by God, seething in all his descendants. I, however, am a child of the Enlightenment, not that it makes my struggles any easier. I have to be wary, like every other kindred in the city and beyond. Individual kindred each have a unique relationship to their beast. What yours is going to be remains to be seen. But you do need to keep it under control. Each outburst endangers not just you, but also the Masquerade. The concierge returns, asks for permission to intrude, which Sophie gives with a polite smile, and leans in to whisper in her ear. You note that the gallery is now almost empty. I'm being told the gallery is just about to close, but we still have quite a lot to discuss. We'll go to one of my apartments. My jalopy is waiting downstairs. Come. The smile she puts on makes you remember last night's encounter in the showroom. A similar eagerness to spend time with the person overtakes you momentarily, and you follow her outside. Your sixth sense tells you she's an artistic soul too, and you unwittingly start projecting good qualities onto her. Sophie leads you to a luxurious silver Rolls Royce and invites you to sit in the back. The chauffeur, a broad-shouldered, clean-shaven, middle-aged guy, starts driving immediately. A couple of updates. Vessel, a source of blood for sustenance or pleasure, primarily mortal. The Beast. The Icoid drives and urges that threaten to turn a vampire into a mindless, ravening monster. Cain, a mythical figure considered to be the first and most powerful vampire. Some vampires refer to themselves as Cainites, members of the race of Cain. Kindred, the Camarilla term for vampires as a whole or a single vampire. According to rumor, this term came about in the 15th or 16th century, after the Anarch revolt. The Masquerade, the habit or tradition of hiding the existence of vampires from humanity, designed to protect vampires from destruction of the hands of mankind. The Masquerade was adopted after the medieval Inquisition claimed many kindred unlives. And this is, I think, a good place to end today's episode. We survived our first encounter with the Prince of New York, but where this leads us and how this alliance with Sophie will play out, we will have to see in a future episode. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, please give the video a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel, share the video with friends, family, and the people on the internet. That all helps me out a whole bunch and will bring you more content in the future. I will be back with more Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York tomorrow. Until then, have a great time.